Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Playing On podcast. My name is Carl Markowski, and thank you for joining me. This episode is brought to you by Carbon Paintball. I'm sure you've seen this giant orange sea all over the place now. They've been sponsoring the webcast on Go Sports with all kinds of gear. You can see it up there. They have the SE pack that has the air cushion. It pretty much conforms to whatever back you have, whether it's a crazy weird shaped one like mine, or whatever back you have. It's a little air pump, and it pretty much conforms to your lower back. It's very, very comfortable. They've had me try one out before, and it was cool. I mean, all those guys over there are awesome. The product is amazing. What I use is the top layer and the bottom layer, the base layers. Pretty much, those are the ones that have the compression with the arm and knee pads in them. Amazing stuff. I mean, this is once I was handed this equipment, I didn't let it go. I've been playing with it ever since, and there's a good reason for that. I mean, it's great product. It keeps me warm when I need it to be. It keeps me cool when I need it to be. It really does. It does everything. So if you need any information, go ahead and head to carbonpaintball.com, and if you type in the promo code capital TPOP at checkout, you will get 10% off your entire order. So that's pretty cool. So thank you to Carbon Paintball. We are also brought to you by Charm City Paintball, the headgear master. Mike, he has some amazing patterns, and quality of work that he does is just great. I wear one of his pack bands that I collaborated with him on. I wear the American flag one on my back. I'll have pictures up on my Instagram and Facebook. But he makes headbands, he makes head wraps, and all of his stuff is low quantity runs. I believe it's like 10 or less. So there's not very many of these made. He also loves to do custom stuff. So make sure you give him a shout on his Facebook page, Charm City Paintball, and then make sure you keep up to date on the Instagram, Charm City Paintball as well. So thank you, Mike, at Charm City. We are also brought to you by CK Fight Life, also known as Contract Killer. These guys are killing it in the game with the laser engraving, the detail, and the graphics that they're coming out with are so sweet. I might just get mine laser engraved. We're thinking of some designs right now, but I mean, I know Sam Montville and and some other guys from the Houston Heat camp. They have a lot of their stuff done, and it's just amazing work. If you want to see any of their product, paintball wise or jiu-jitsu wise, go ahead and head to ckfightlife.com, and or you can give Tony a call, and his number is, there it is, 951-219-5045. Ask for Tony, and bug him about the laser engraving, bug him about the paintball stuff, bug him about jiu-jitsu stuff. But you can check it out, ckfightlife.com. And last but not least, I know I say that all the time, but we are brought to you by Planet Eclipse, and it just so happens that we have Jack Wood on the podcast. But Planet Eclipse makes the most amazing markers, and he's one of the big reasons behind that. He's the mechanical engineer for Planet Eclipse, and he's the man. He's a part of a company that has been changing the face of paintball and changing the requirements of what a marker needs to do or what needs to happen, or he's been raising the bar with Planet Eclipse, and these guys have been in what's the word I want to say, revolutionary in the game. I mean, the LV series, the Geos, and the way that they handle themselves with the techs and the customer service, it's just great. And if you guys want to see any of their awesome markers, you can head over to planeteclipse.com. and check out all the markers they've ever come out with. They also have soft goods, pants, packs, jerseys, t-shirts, all the swag. But yeah, this episode is with Jack Wood, and it was really cool hearing how he kind of I don't want to give it away. Here's the podcast with Jack. The one, the only Jack Wood. What's going on?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm doing good since it's like 6:15
Early
in the
start
morning.
Yeah.
It's what, almost noon for you over there, huh?
Yep. Just after 11. So been up for a while now.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's the weather? Sunshine? Because I remember we talked a few days ago, and you know how I was saying it was kind of cold outside, and it was a possibility that it definitely snowed yesterday. But it wasn't anything like Minnesota. I talked to my buddy Walker from Minnesota, and he said it snowed 8 inches yesterday. And I just
in April,
and they were supposed to get 4 more inches last night. So
we've got nice sunshine today. So
that's nice.
Yeah, makes change. First proper sunny day we've had this year.
Nice. I've always wanted to go over to the UK. Never got to.
Yeah, you never been?
Never been.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to.
Come for a millennium.
I want to, but I just don't have the time off of work. That's the biggest thing for me. Yeah. But I plan on hopefully maybe employing myself here soon, and then I'll just have all the vacation time that I want.
Fingers crossed. You do whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I wanted to
no problem.
Always wanted to know, kind of this background story behind the minds at Planet, and you are definitely one of them. So let's get into how you discovered paintball, and then we can we'll probably get into the Planet story with yourself. So how did paintball come up?
It's all connected. So it's all connected. So it's quite a good story, I suppose, in that. So my uncle was one of the very first people in the UK to bring paintball into the UK.
Really?
That happened when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. So at the time, he had a big house out in the countryside. We used to go down there and plink around with the old, back then it was actually 50 cal with these guns. You had to pull the thing back, shake it a bit. I can't even remember what they're called now, but they were horrendous things. And he had big fields and all grown up ferns everywhere and brambles and stuff. And we used to play around there as kids. And then he had a field, one of the very first fields in the UK. And I used to work there in the summer holidays and weekends. Mm-hmm. So I used to cycle probably 12, 13 miles every weekend on my bike at the age of 12 to go and help out the field and, clean guns and load up the bags of paint and the tubes back then, tubes of 10.
Now, were you enjoying this was this kind of just a job for you at the time, or were you addicted to it already?
No. This was me working so I could have a bag of paintballs at the end of the day.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was like
because I was too young to actually play. So he just pay me with a bag of paint to go and shoot trees. So that was my introduction to it. And then obviously over the years I worked on his paintball field for years and years. Mm-hmm. When I was old enough and a bit later on, he opened a paintball store in Manchester, which was Manchester Paintball. And that is the store that Leds and Julian, the owners of Planet Eclipse, bought off my uncle. Oh, so gotcha. I was working for my uncle and playing with Leds and Julian on what was the Banzais then, Banzai Bandits.
Yeah.
My aunt got very sick and she had cancer and died of cancer. My uncle just wanted to get rid of the business because he wanted to stay home and look after his wife. Right. Leds and Julian. Julian was actually at the time like a traveling salesman. He had a car, an old Vauxhall Astra with a boot full of paintball gear that he was buying in from the States and driving around to the 2 or 3 stores in the UK and the paintball fields selling bits of gear.
He's already hustling.
Yeah. He's always been like that. And Leds was working with me at weekends in my uncle's paintball store. in Manchester. I was still at university at this point. By this point, I was at Manchester University studying engineering.
That was going to be my
Jules
guess.
led, Jules and Led's. Led's was in a job he hated in a vehicle leasing company. Jules was already in the paintball industry, and my uncle wanted to sell the business, and they bought the business off my uncle. So that was went from Manchester Paintball to Paintball Planet at that point. And I was working there already, and I just carried on working there.
Yeah.
So
you already.
I finished my studies. I finished my studies at university. Went for a couple of interviews for real jobs in the automotive industry for like Cosworth, engineering companies, people like that. Decided that wasn't for me. Didn't really want to leave Manchester because it would have meant pretty much packing in paintball.
Right.
And they said, well, carry on working here if you like, and that was it. So I've been there ever since. Huh. So basically they bought me with the fixtures and fittings of the company.
You came with the building, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So, and that was 27 years ago.
Jeez, it's been that long.
So my life in paintball's been going on for over 30 years now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, what was
a long time?
Yeah, little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Was now paintball in the UK compared to paintball in the US back then, was it as popular over there, or was it just kind of gaining momentum at this time?
It was gaining momentum. It was, in that steady rise, the same as you had it over there. We had it over here as well. Mm-hmm. But we're same now, really. We're always like a step behind you guys. So we were buying stuff from the US, importing it into the UK, and selling it, and reading the newspapers and paintball newspapers and magazines, and trying to find out what the cool stuff was that you guys were using, because there was no internet at that time. Mm-hmm. And then just ordering it from the stores over there and selling it through our store.
Now, why do you think that is? Like, because I always think about it, and I always think of like Russian Legion back in the day, the UK teams, some of the international teams, and even today, right? Everybody says, well, the pro levels of everywhere else are like a semi-pro of the United States. Like, why do you think that there's such an imbalance? Do you think the U.S. had kind of the leg up where people were playing it all the time and a lot more than everybody else? Or, do you think that's what it was?
I don't know. I think a lot of it's a cultural thing. I think the US is, well, okay, so in the UK, sports in UK schools is, it's a sideline. It's something that has to be done because it's part of the school curriculum. Mm-hmm. The kids need to have so many hours of activity, but it's not something that people strive to do in school. Like, right. you don't have like the college thing, where you have, if you want to go play football, you can go through college just playing football. Yeah. There's nothing like that at all. It's sort of a secondary thing, where in the US it always seems to be sports is a primary thing. It's something that everybody who has some, pretty much, and it's really not the same over here. So, and I think paintball's approached the same way. It's something that you do to have a bit of fun. It's not something that you want to be the best at, where the Americans always come across as, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this to the best of my ability, and I'm going to train and going to get it really good at it, and I want to beat everybody else. Yeah. And I do think it's much more a cultural thing rather than not having the infrastructure to do it. We could do it over here if we wanted to, and Robbo tried to do it with the Nexus guys. Mm-hmm. He tried to change the approach to the game in the UK. He went around and selected the best players. And had a bit of success doing that, but there doesn't seem to be the drive or the willingness or the desire for teams in the UK or most of Europe to set up that kind of, that farm system to bring in the best players and make a dedicated team. So,
do you see it happening in the future, or do you always see it kind of as, like you were explaining, kind of just this?
I think so. It's a bit more different now because we're seeing a resurgence in the UK, definitely, in like a club format. which is a bit different again, and they're taking kids from a very early age, and instead of them going to like a soccer camp at the weekends, or
Mm-hmm.
or in the holidays, in the vacation, in the school holidays, there's a few places in the UK now where they're doing paintball camps and these
Really?
clubs where they have obviously have older members as well, but the kids are coming in, and they're being drawn to this as something to do, where the parents come and they drop them off for the day, and they know they're going to get looked after because they've got a bunch of guys there, and they do proper training and drilling and all that kind of thing. It's much more structured and regimented.
Yeah.
So I think there is a potential that in the future, in the next few years, you may see that. And you've got teams like the Lucky 13s who are coming up at the moment, and they run this like farm program where they have a bunch of teams, and they drill the teams up through to their what we call the elite over here in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And they're then going to Europe and having good success there. So I think there's a potential for it to certainly get a higher level than what we currently had over the last few years. So.
Yeah, I think I think so too. Looking at the way everything is running now, I think there's a lot more support for paintball. I feel like my chair just broke. But I feel like there's a lot more support for paintball in obviously having fun, but focusing on getting better. Like some of the pros are putting out training videos, and with the whole BKI thing, and there's a lot more content based on just getting better individually. Let alone these camps where guys are getting together and playing as a team, being able to not just go out and drill your individual skills, but you're playing with other guys with similar interests, and
absolutely.
And that's what I think. Even with like I said, the Russian Legion. I mean, those guys and that camp is like dedicated to just making these players that are just these I don't want to say robotic.
Robots.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't know.
That's how they started though. That's what they looked like when they first hit the scene. That's what when you're watching them play, they look like robots. They'd like run, shoot, and it was just like there was nothing fluid about it. It was all like, I've been told I'm going to run here, I'm going to shoot here for so many seconds, and I'm going to turn the switch here, and the whole thing just looked orchestrated. It wasn't where you look at a team like Dynasty at the time, because those were the two big teams head to head constantly, and it was much more dynamic and fluid, and everything seemed more up in the air. So
it seems
the Russians seemed drilled into having that particular style.
And you know what I think changed is that when I started watching Fedorov and all those other guys who started kind of breaking away from that scene, is they obviously had those fundamental skills. But I think it's when they started becoming creative. Their creativity started coming out, and I think that's when the really, really solid play from the Russians started coming out. Enough about the Russians.
But like, okay.
So let's get back to you. So when the field got, or I'm sorry, the store, and it was a field as well. They got bought out.
A field and store,
at this time, were you tinkering around with paintball gear and kind of seeing what you can do with it along with playing?
Yeah, so I was at university and doing engineering, had access to the workshops at university, and all the paintball gear that we had at the time was pretty much junk. So that's really where I started, just trying to modify things and work out how everything worked.
So mechanical engineering.
Improve it. Yeah, mechanical engineering.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, obviously, I started pulling things apart, machining bits, see what worked, see what didn't work, and just getting my head around the basics and the fundamentals of what goes into firing a paintball. And just work from there. And then, obviously, when we started the company, we didn't have any money at all. So everything was done on a shoestring, and it was, if we started working on autocockers, we'd modify 5 Rams and 5 3-ways and see if they sold. And then luckily we had the Banzai Bandits was the team that we were all based in, and we were one of the top UK teams. So it's actually from a marketing point of view, it worked really well because we'd win an event and everybody go, wow, what guns are you using? And then they'd come to the store the weekend after and they'd want all the bits that we had. So yeah, that worked really well. And also because we had for a few years we had a mixture of different markers on the team. So we used automags and autocockers. So it was quite nice to be able to diversify within the company and have modifications for both guns as well. So we didn't just tie ourselves down to one thing. A cocker. I shot a mag for a few years as well, but I shot mainly cockers just because it, so much more mechanical, so many bits moving around, and there's more I could do to them and tinker with. So yeah.
For as much as I love knowing how things work, and I like to tinker too, and and just figure out how things work, and then just trying to tweak things a little bit here and there. I could not wrap my head around enjoying an autococker. For some reason, I've tried and tried and tried. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know if it's because there's just so many moving parts, and then I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of when shit gets dirty, like super nasty.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many little cricks
they're
and
an
bits.
acquired, they're an acquired taste, and I think it's why, obviously why the Automag did so well, because that was like, you can liken it today, I suppose, between a poppet valve gun, like an LV, and a spool valve gun. The Automag was the original spool valve gun. It was all just a tube. It was just all enclosed. There was nothing. You couldn't see anything. There was nothing external moving.
Right.
It just went bang when you pull the trigger, and you just wiped the outside of it. Mm-hmm. So where a cocker, you needed to be on top of it all the time, and you've got bits flying around in front of your face. And, definitely a different philosophy from the two different guns.
Yeah, I think one of my... hopefully I'm not offending you when I say this, but one of my favorite guns back in the day was just the stock SFT shocker, just a tube. I mean, that was one of my favorites. And then when the Intimidator came along, I shot a GZ Intimidator, Ground Zero Intimidator, and then it was 2005 because I got on Excessive on 2004, and we were shooting whatever at that point. And then 2005 is when you guys came out with the first version of the Ego, and then that was just it was lights out for me after that because I enjoyed Intimidator so much, and that resembled the marker that I wanted to shoot. Even though, and I don't know why it bothers people so much just to have that moving bolt up there. I was like, I like it. It makes me feel like I don't know what it is.
Like it's doing something.
It's like
it's working.
It's helping in a way.
Yeah,
but so
it's just reassuring, isn't it? It's reassuring that something's actually happening when you pull the trigger.
Oh, absolutely, and it makes me. I mean, it makes me feel cool when I can take the bolt out and look at it and just put it back in. Yeah, but we'll get into that because those things shoot amazing, and I really want to know kind of the story behind those. And I'm a big fan. Okay. Probably you've obviously heard. I praise them. So, but
I know you're single-handedly responsible for bringing the Ego, the LV, back into the Pro NXL, aren't you?
I think so. I think there was a point. I think there was a point where I was the only one left person shooting one.
Yeah.
And
and then this season there's loads of them out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was amazed in Vegas how many of the pros were shooting LVs.
Yeah.
It's very heartwarming. So, thank you for that.
I think absolutely. I believe in the product, man, and I think a lot of people. Obviously, you guys make amazing product regardless, but I think what a lot of people do is they get wrapped up in the new and the shiny and the nostalgia of things.
Yeah.
And and I think a lot of people were like, well, why don't you change this on the LV, or why don't you do this on the Ego and change this? I was like, it's not. And especially when you guys came out with the LVR, I heard a lot of negative feedback on the LVR, and I'm like, okay, there's not much else that they can do to it that I know of right now besides taking more meat off. But it's something that's not broken, and why kind of fix it? I mean, there's only so much you can do to it, especially. And we had talked before on everybody's like, well, why don't you get rid of that little gas through and this and that? I was like, okay, well, if you get rid of the gas through, the grip's going to be thicker. It's going to be a different feel. You have to pretty much reorchestrate the way that the airflow is through the marker.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
absolutely, yeah. It's not a minor thing.
exactly,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's not.
People
It's
just
something.
think that we have this constant running joke here because Leds comes in all the time and says, "Why don't you do this?" And we go, "Oh yeah, we'll just push the do this button on the computer." So
Yeah.
it's like, why don't you get rid of the hose on the LV? Oh, okay, I'll just press the delete the hose button on the
Mm-hmm.
on the 3D CAD program. There you go, it's done. But
See,
no, it's not. It's like months, years of work to do something like that.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think a lot of people were complaining about it because I notice a lot of people whenever they they shoot left-handed, or even some people right-handed, is they like to throw their thumb underneath the body on that foregrip, on that reg.
yeah,
And for me, I feel like I don't have a good stable base whenever my thumb is underneath. But if I have it on the side there,
yeah,
I feel like I have a good base. And now my
yeah.
pinky doesn't even come close to that gas through. But if people put their thumb
Yeah.
underneath, I feel like it kind of pushes
Underneath,
everything
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
But if you shoot goofy like that, don't complain,
Yeah.
because that's the way you shoot. So, but before we get into the LV and the new CS2s and everything like that, I want to run through. So, were you the mind behind the EBlade?
So the EBlade came about. We spent years and years modifying other people's products.
Mm-hmm.
So we obviously we did
Accessories.
right. Accessories and custom versions.
Oh,
so we
okay.
had Eclipse cockers, Eclipse auto mags, Eclipse shockers. We did loads and loads of different stuff, and we got tired of making other people's products better. And we got tired of being screwed around by all the other manufacturers who would change something on a whim, and then what we'd done wouldn't work anymore.
You're
or
on
bits
everybody
wouldn't fit
else's
together.
terms. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or we'd get 50 parts delivered from a company in the US, because everything was made in the US pretty much, and they get delivered over. We'd spend a fortune machining them, anodizing them, finishing them, making all the parts for them. Then you come to screw them together and they don't fit together because they've sent you like some bits they machined 6 months ago and some bits they machined this month, and now these don't fit, and then you're out like $1,000 of cash, and a load of parts you can't build and guns you can't sell.
Yeah.
So what we did is we took on Steve Monks, whose nickname is Flash, who works here now, who also played on the Banzais at the time, and we took him on. His background is in like processes, systems, handling, like conveyor belts and things that do things on conveyor belts. And he wanted to get out his job, and we needed an electronics person. We decided if we wanted to do something ourselves, we needed somebody in-house to do all the circuit boards, all the programming. The person had to be somebody who knew paintball, because everything that was out there at the time, all the electronic stuff that's out there, you had a company making, the gun, and then they had another company outside of paintball making the electronics, because nobody in paintball knew the electronics at the time to control everything.
Yeah.
And they were very fragile. They had tiny little tracks on the board. The wiring was really flimsy and just broke all the time as soon as you took it apart the first time. And so we wanted to be the first people to design something for paintball by paintballers. Everybody in the team was a paintballer.
Yeah.
So we brought on Steve, and what we said is, tell you what, we'll have a little tryout rather than going straight into making our own gun. We'll try and do a little project, maybe sell 100, 200 of these things. Just make sure that our processes were good enough and that we got the electronics nailed before we go on to making our own gun. So we said, tell you what, we'll make an electronic frame for an autococker, because it seems like a good thing. The autocockers were still big at the time. Yeah, a little side project. We'll sell a couple of hundred of them. About 100,000 units later, we're still making these things and going, come on, guys, we really need to start making our own gun here.
Yeah, they were very popular.
Yeah, very, very popular. And obviously, sorry, I'm just going to grab my drink. You're making me thirsty, all that coffee you drink.
I know, I got to my energy.
Trying to keep awake. So So yeah, they were very, very popular. Obviously, War Games. We signed a licensing deal with War Games, and that was huge. They took them. They took our electronics and put them into their own guns, and it was a great product for us. But again, that worked its way through to the point where even working with War Games at the time, we'd get stuff that didn't fit and didn't work, and it was becoming frustrating. And quantities were getting bigger, but it was becoming more and more hassle. And we just felt at that again, it was just time to make that step, make that change, and have more control of our own destiny. And that resulted in the Ego. So that was the first Ego. So a lot of the electronics that were in the Ego came straight from the EBlade.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how long?
So when you're saying it, when it come back to your original question, it was a conscious decision to do the EBlade, but it was never designed to be as big as it was.
Right.
It was something that just ran away and it just blew our minds. And obviously, it was amazing for us because it gave us a massive, rock solid foundation to then go on and do the Ego. So rather than trying to do the Ego on a shoestring, it had elevated the company so high and put Planet Eclipse in everybody's mind right across the world that when we came with the Ego, we already had that base and that foundation to work from, financially and from a marketing point of view.
Yeah, it was a great stepping stone, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have? I mean, you had to have had some kind of inkling that it might have been popular, just for the fact that markers were starting to get faster, and maybe that people were like, hey, well, I guess people would question it because, I mean, a lot of people, if they were shooting autocockers, they obviously wanted to be shooting manual. And, if they saw this electronic frame, they'd be like, nah, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm sure you guys going out there and just blowing people off the field.
It was just a strange one. It was just, we honestly didn't know, had no idea it was going to be as big as it was.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it helped. There were so many autocockers out there. Yeah. Like hundreds of thousands of autocockers out there. So it was one of those things where somebody could pick up and go, oh, I've got an old autococker. I'm going to stick this on. This looks fun. Yeah. And suddenly they can bring an old gun that they may not have used for a few years back to life again.
Yeah.
And then you've got you put it in the hands of a pro team and then they go and start winning stuff with it. So it's, it was a nice project. It would just blow our minds how popular it was at the time. But thankfully it was, because it gave us a great start.
Yeah, I remember watching a video when I was young. It was one of the fastest shooting paintball markers that I've ever seen. It was an autococker with an EBlade on it.
I know, it was ridiculous. Yeah, because at the time, obviously the Halo had just come out as well. You put those two together, it's ridiculous.
It just changed the game.
Yeah. It was stupid. That was the start of the wars, really.
Yeah. There it is. You guys are the complete reason.
Yeah.
So who at Planet, or was it somebody else, who designed the logo? As simple as it is, I think it's one of those things where it's like a Nike swoosh or the Adidas bars or whatever like that. Like, who was the mind behind just the simple E?
Just the E?
Yeah.
No idea. No clue.
No?
We've got it probably would have been Paul. So we have Paul Woods here. So we have a lot of. I'm Jack Wood.
I was gonna say there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of Woods.
Yeah. It's a popular name around this part of the UK. So we've got Al and Paul, who are brothers, and they pretty much do all the marketing, all the media, all our advertising. They also design all the soft goods, the bags, everything. So those two guys do all of that. Paul started with us probably 15, 16 years ago now, and then Al joined us in the last 5-6 years. So Al actually worked in the media and marketing department for Manchester United soccer team.
Oh wow!
So he's got a great background in branding and all that kind of stuff, and how it comes out, and then translating some of that from obviously a massive global multi-billion-pound company to us is nice.
Yeah.
And then Paul does all the website design. He's a designer and genius when it comes to having those logo ideas.
Yeah.
Like I say, simplifying something to the point of just being an image rather than a load of text.
Yeah.
And just making it stick in people's minds. And they come up with all the when we decide to rebrand and everything's, we're obviously green and black now, so that was them. Right, we just need to go with a color palette that just goes over everything we do. Every
Right.
logo, every piece of marketing has that same look to it. So that's those guys. And nothing to do with me. I'm not even allowed to pick the colors of the guns anymore.
Ooh.
So I come in and I'll go, oh, this color combination's amazing, and then just say, put that down. That's not your department. so,
That's funny.
Pretty sad.
Yeah, I'm like I like my base colors, my all black, my.
Yeah.
And are you more of a matte finish or a gloss finish guy?
Matte.
Me too.
Matte.
Yeah.
We have a people ask us to do gloss guns all the time, but we have a real problem with it. So we haven't done gloss for years and years now.
Yeah.
Just because the process is so dirty, the polishing process.
Yeah.
And also, once you polish it, it has to be handled so carefully. Otherwise, it's the surface marks. If it marks before anodizing, then you've got a product that's anodized a really nice glossy color or splash, and it's got like a scratch on the surface. So it's really hard to process it, and it's just so much more time consuming.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not worth it. But we do get asked for it all the time.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, I know that one question that I wanted to ask, even though I already know the answer, but I don't think a lot of people might not know. How do you guys do the custom markers, the custom designs on the markers? How do you guys? What is that process like? Because I know for me at first I thought it was a dip, but it's not a dip.
No. So it's basically like inkjet printing. So it's literally a giant inkjet printer. The ink in it is the dye. So what we do is we take the body of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just it goes off to the anodizers, has all the pores opened in the aluminium. That's all opened up, and it gets shipped back to us. We put it in the printing machine, and it's literally like printing a piece of paper. You take the body, you lay it down under the printing head on the printing bed. Printer heads go across it, print the design on it, and that's it. Flip it over, print the other side, then it goes back to the anodizers, and they seal it all. So,
one at a time, or is this multiple bodies at one time?
I think we can do one at a time. We like Leds has got his own one. I've done individual ones for me, but I think we can do up to like 12 at a time. We try and do 12s. The bed takes 12 bodies at a time. So.
Right. God, it seems like a process too. I mean, it seems like it's very straightforward, but man,
there's a lot of shipping back and forth, and it's very time consuming because we have 2 collections and deliveries a week from the anodizers. So, each time it has to go off, it has to have the pores open, then it has to wait probably a week for it to come back, then it has to be printed, then it has to wait to go back to the anodizer, the next delivery, and then so just that printing process alone probably takes close to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
With all the to and fro from the anodizers.
Jeez.
And it's not.
I can see why now, because you guys had a minimum order whenever I had, because I did the I think I had 3 custom markers from you guys, and I can see now why there was a set number that were made. Put them all in the machine.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, what about the
plus you can guarantee that, I don't know if it ever happened to you, but it can guarantee that at least one will have a fault with it. So if you do 1 or 2, you may actually end up with 0. So, and then you don't find that out until you're actually building it at the end.
Yeah.
So.
See, I like those little imperfections. See, I like those little. I like finding those things. Like for me, when I had the one markers made, I don't know what it was, but I would stack them up. Like let's say I got 3 or 4 in or whatever, and I'd look at them, and instead of opening each one up to figure out which one I wanted to shoot, I would just pick out the one of the random serial numbers that I enjoyed looking at the best, and then I'd be like, all right, that's the one I'm going to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo. I don't know.
I do that with car registrations. So if I'm getting a new car, then I'll go in and ask for the list of registrations that they have, so I can pick the best one.
And you know what I always did, and it started with your guys' markers, was, and I think this is what kind of got me into mechanics and the way anything mechanical works is every time I got a new marker in, and I do this to this day, I would set the manual aside and I would take it completely apart. I mean, down to I would take the reg apart, I would take everything apart, and then I would put it all back together again, and obviously it would shoot because I know what I'm doing. but I would do that each year, and I would see what you guys have changed. And I think that's what's cool is I've known the inside and out of whether it be a Geo or an LV or an Ego each year. And that's always been a thing for me, though, is being able to work on my own. And I've always tinkered. I wasn't as much as you can tinker with the LV1. I was never really big on super tweaking all the settings on the board, even on the
flow controls and stuff.
I would only do a little bit, but it was more like I would switch over to the light rammer, and then maybe I would mess with the trigger for sure, and then I would set the solenoid. Those I would set down just a little bit, and then I would tinker with the LPR, even though it's just a little bit. I mean, it made a big difference for me, and I felt more in control. It was like driving and then shooting semi-auto on top of that. It felt like I was driving a stick shift instead of driving an automatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm so much a component of that.
I think if you take that time to do that, then you get a connection with the gun as well.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's more yours.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what people now and kids nowadays with the ramping markers, and it's pretty much a tournament player in a box. And why I try and push it now more than anything is I feel like there's so much more of a skill set to be able to shoot in semi-auto and be able to hold a lane, and I feel like the guns, honestly, I feel like they shoot so much better. At least the LVs shoot so much better in semi-auto instead of this ramping. And I feel like if you bring that back in, I feel like the markers are going to shoot better. I feel like the skill set that you need just to shoot a paintball marker will come back. There won't be any more. And people are probably tired of me hearing this, but I don't give a shit. But like you won't have people just sitting there who don't have those skills to maybe gunfight.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it used to be gunfighting all the time. I mean, no matter where you were gunfighting because you were trying to control somebody with a volume of paint that you physically had to shoot out of your marker.
Yeah.
And
you have to do that while you're holding the marker.
Yeah, now
like I say, it's just that.
Yeah, now it's just that, and it's not a skill anymore. It was like, why is it such a factor? Why is it such a skill that you need to shoot down? Like, try it.
Yeah.
Try it, and I will go against you, and then see how well you do.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I think it's a night and day
and
difference.
It is a skill. It's a skill. Unfortunately, though, because I mean, back in the day, shooting autocockers and automags, it was even more of a skill.
Yeah.
Because you're shooting so much slower, so the balls that you did shoot in a one-on-one, they had to be even more accurate because you only get the chance to shoot one or two. But as soon as the electronics came into it, and then you shot Intimidators, so you'll know what Intimidators are like. Even in semi-auto, they're not really semi-auto.
Yeah.
So and then it becomes questionable. Then you got the whole, the old MPPL robot trying to prove that a gun was semi-auto when it was semi-auto, and then you got cheater modes, and so I could see it was quite easy to see where the progression was and why we ended up where we were. Where we are, with having the ramping mode, because it makes it easy to go, okay, 3 trigger pulls, and then we're into ramping mode, and this is the rate of fire, and that's it. Whereas in the bad old days, or the good old days, but now you're looking at it, it was like, I pull the trigger 3 times, I've got 20 balls that come out, and it's at 25 balls a second. And you got people going, how's that even possible? This is supposed to be semi-auto, and it's not. So
yeah, but I think the argument too could be, back then we didn't have the technology to be able to catch that. It was more or less just he sounds like he's shooting fast. Let me take his marker, bump the back of the tank, and see if it shoots. And I was like, that's not a very solid test. It was like, oh, it shot. I was like, well, of course. Like the way I set my trigger up is, it's an 1/8 of an inch of travel or whatever. And if you smack the ass end of that tank, it's obviously going to shoot because I'm not a big fan of I don't want to say I'm a big fan. I guess I just don't really use the magnetic side of the trigger. I'm more of straight micro switch pressure.
Micro switch, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So it's like it's very light, and if you smack the end of that tank, it's obviously going to go off, but it doesn't mean that it's bouncing. Like I never when I first started shooting the egos, those were the ones I've never had a cheater board. Even in the Intimidator, like I never had a cheater board. It was still a stock board, but I only shot that thing for maybe 6 months. But then when I first got the ego, it was all stock boards. Ever since then, I've always shot your guys' boards. I may have shot a different barrel here and there, but I maybe once or twice, but I've always shot stock stuff of your guys's, and I just set it up to where I could shoot fast. I made it a skill to shoot fast. Now I feel like if we capped it at like 15 to where it's nothing crazy, and we make it to where you will know when somebody's shooting way faster than what they should, and just make the penalty. Bart and I talked about this. Make the penalty and the repercussions for doing something like that suspended for 2 tournaments or something. But if we can bring that skill back in and have it be not just so easy, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. Is it's so easy, and I miss shooting semi-auto. So I mean, that's I guess the moral of the story.
Have you played any mechanical stuff?
I have a little bit, and I shot an autococker. A little bit, but I'm a huge fan. I don't have one yet. I plan on getting one hopefully soon, but I'm a giant fan of your guys' frame on the GMAC or the
GMAC.
GT. Oh my god! Jacko had me shoot one at World Cup last year. He shot the one with the muffler on it. Yeah, this is amazing. If I had this, I would shoot this over every. I wanted to, and Bruno wouldn't let me. I wanted to shoot it in a game at the tournament, but he wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah. It seems like that is going back to that. It seems such a popular thing at the moment.
Yeah,
I mean it must be a thing because we make 2 guns that are mechanical now, and we haven't done that for like 15 years.
What's your other mechanical?
So it's an Ether 2, basically with a mechanical grip frame. So that's the EMEC.
So is that like your everyday field like rental marker that you guys make? Is it with that?
It's a field. Well, it's a field marker. We've got it. It's in final stages of testing in loads of fields across the US, around the world, Australia, America, Europe, Russia, everywhere. But it's also like an entry level mechanical gun for us. But it's so basically the top half is all an Ether 2, so it's a gamma core, exactly the same what's in a G-Tech, and even like is the prelude to what is now in the CS2.
Yeah.
So the top half is exactly the same as an Ether 2, but it just has a mechanical trigger frame instead of having an electronic trigger frame. So it works just the same as a GMAC.
Yeah.
So, but it's got a hinge trigger instead of a slide trigger, and it's all polymer. So
yeah, I need to.
It's going to be mega.
I would definitely shoot more, or I would enter into more mechanical tournaments once I get my hands on one of those GMAX. Those things are nasty. But so how did the LV come about? I know how the Ego came about. You guys wanted to produce your own product, marker wise. But what was the evolution like to the LV platform?
So I think we got up to Ego 11, and we said, I think it was at Ego, around about Ego 11, we said we're not going to do any more yearly releases, not going to do any more annual releases. We're going to wait until we've got something major.
Yeah.
Then what was it? We had the Geo at the time.
What
Geo
year was
3
that when it came out?
9? You Americans, you're all obsessed with years.
I'm sorry. That's how I keep track of my career.
In England, in England, we just don't do that at all. I couldn't tell you. I struggle to remember what year I was born, let alone what I was doing in 1994 or something. I couldn't tell you how old I was then.
I shot a prototype. That's the thing. I remember I was on Infamous. I think it was 2009 because I shot.
Somewhere around about there. Yeah, because I think 2009 and the Geo came out same year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So end of 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we got to Generation 3 and put the like we had on the Ego 11, we put flow control, the SFR on the Geo to control the bolt speed.
Yeah, to the trigger
through
frame.
the trigger guard.
Yeah, the guard. Yeah.
So we had that, and it became obvious that depending on how slow or how fast you allow the valve to open or the bolt to move, changed the feel and the sound of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you could literally just sit there and turn it, and you get a different sound and a different feel, and turn the other way, a different sound, different feel. And now got thinking about, okay, so if we could replicate something like that in the Ego platform, and what we actually wanted to do was try and slow down the speed that the valve was opening. So the slower you open the valve, the quieter the pitch and the softer the feel of the gun, because you're accelerating the ball slower down the barrel rather than popping the ball down the barrel. You're boosting it down the barrel, if you like.
You're gently pushing it out the barrel.
Yeah, with berries and
yes, with feather fingers.
Yeah. So I wanted to do that, and I thought, okay, well, it depends how technical you want to get here, because hold on.
I'm all
still
in.
there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Cool. My battery's about to die. I'm gonna have to speed it up. So we needed to split up the bolt speed and the valve speed, because you need a certain bolt speed pushing the ball into the barrel, but then when you open the valve, we wanted to open it at a different speed. Obviously, when the bolt and the ram are connected together, the bolt speed is directly connected to the valve opening speed. So I needed to put a device in between the valve and the rammer to get a differential, and came up with a lever idea. Put the lever in, and it worked the first time. And I've said it a few times, but the first time got the prototype in, it was an Ego 11 body. Built it all together, pulled the trigger, and went, shit, it's not worked. Took it down to the chrono, fired a paintball, and went, sure, I really thought this was going to work. That was going to be amazing. And then I just plonked onto the chrono and fired it, and the ball came out at 350 feet per second. And I looked at it and went, dropped a few more balls in, 350, 360, 350, and the gun didn't feel like, shooting an LV's like. It's just it's like nothing's really happening. And you're constantly just chroning to make sure that it's actually full velocity.
Yeah.
And it was just like...
And it was quiet.
It
was quiet too, yeah.
Ridiculous. That's the whole thing, because it just went, do, 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 and you fired it, it just went, do, 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 and went, I honestly thought it was shooting like 120, 130. And then Chrono is 350, and I just ran out of the test room and ran, everybody, come and see this. So, and grabbed everybody in, and it was just, oh, that's unbelievable. And that was it. They just knew we had a winner at that point. And that's why it's changed so little from the original LV, the actual, the volume of the valve chamber, the dynamics of the lever, the rammer, bolt. None of that's really changed, because it just works so well. And coming back to your original point, it doesn't need changing. Yes, we changed the bits around it. We could put different grips on it, and we tweaked it, and we've made it lighter and sleeker.
Yeah.
But the gun just works, and it's really one of those where I could do an LV2, but the LV1's just so good. That platform just works so well.
Yeah.
And it's been borne out by this year how many pro players again have come back to it and are using it in the NXL. And it's almost like it got forgotten about, and then guys like you have come back and gone, hey, don't forget about this, because it's actually really, really good. Yeah. And then you've got the guys going and shooting them again. It's really good.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, it's like we said, I think a lot of people just got caught up in the nostalgia of the new marker every year kind of thing. Which there's nothing wrong with that, and there was a big jump from the Geo to the CS1, right? Yeah, it was the CS1, right? Yeah, and I think not that there were bugs in the beginning of what I heard of people complaining about with the LV, but I just think people I don't think they were ready for it. I mean, I think you guys had something that it was like, here's the new thing. I mean, this is the new thing. Try it out. I knew right away. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I knew right away, and I think some people had a little bit of trouble with them because I think they were so tinkerable, You know, if
Yes.
that's a word. And
Yeah. So adjustable. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a big risk take on your guys' part, because I mean,
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
that in the hands of the consumer, I mean, they could just, oh yeah, it works like shit, and I mean, they're
Yeah.
the ones that are tweaking everything, and
Yeah.
which is a big risk.
Yeah.
But I
Because
mean,
obviously, you know, we built the ego on being like a bulletproof, reliable gun, and
yeah,
we didn't let people adjust anything. Or if they could adjust it, they couldn't adjust it to the point where it wouldn't work anymore. And we
right,
still do that to a degree. It's very hard to get an LV so it doesn't actually work.
yeah,
You can adjust everything so out of whack that it's not efficient and sounds horrible and feels horrible,
yeah,
but it'll still work, still fire a paintball at the end of the day. So we still control the parameter, the range of all the parameters. So you can't ever screw the LPR all the way in so it doesn't fire.
right,
That kind of thing. You know, even with the flow controls, you can turn it, but you can't turn it so it dies.
right. It's still user
Yeah,
proof.
you can make yeah. But it won't shoot as nice as it if you set it to your kind of standards. So
Yeah, I'm telling you, people, if you listen to this, man, give it a go. So that's all I'm going to say about the LV series. I enjoy it thoroughly. So tell me a little bit about the new CS2. I know they're now just getting available for people to purchase.
We started shipping. People started buying them and popping up on the internet with the first guns. I think last week was pretty much the first deliveries went out, and we'll be shipping every week from now on.
Yeah,
so,
I know the Aftershock ones look nasty. They're
oh
awesome.
Yeah.
I love that it's a full anodizing all the way around too.
Yeah, because that's a proper old school splash. So that was quite a good idea going for that.
It was
something different.
Yeah. So what are some big?
Yeah.
And I think what's cool about it, I think it's not super flashy. It's very a low key flash for me, so I don't mind shooting it. So it's I don't like being too.
And the LVs because you obviously did the LVs and the CS2s at the same time to match.
Yeah,
so they look good as well.
Yeah, they're awesome. So what are some big differences, or what are some big differences between the CS1 or CS 1.5 to this new CS2 platform?
So the main difference is it feels completely different, but that's actually a smaller tweak than you think to make it feel so different. But the main big thing is that the drivetrain is different. So where the CS1 and 1.5 had an Ivy core, this has now got a new version of the Gamma core. So we call it the GP for Gamma Pro core, but it's a version of the Gamma core. So it has it works off the same basic principles as the G-Tech and the Ether, but in a much more refined package. And it's tailored much more for a high-end feel. So it's super smooth, super gentle on paint, and really efficient.
Yeah.
So, but that's the main thing. Then what we did with the gun to change the feel is we actually a CS1 grip angle is much steeper at the back here. We just rotated the grips round. And it actually feels much more. I mean, have you picked one up? And did you ever
it's
shoot
way
one
thinner. That was one of my big things with the CS1 was that the grip was fat.
Yeah, so the grips are much thinner. It's actually the same frame underneath, so these grips will fit onto a CS1, and so you can make a CS1 feel the same thickness as this.
Really?
But what you can't do with a CS1 is change the grip angle. So we've gone from an angle up here to an angle down here, which gives it a much more straight feel that you'll be more used to. This is much similar to like an LV or a GO3 angle at the back of the frame. So it's more of a squared off feel front and back, as opposed to a laid back feel that a CS1 has. Then obviously we've got the new adjustable trigger, the reach adjustable trigger, so you can actually change the angle of the trigger shoe. Yeah.
Can you put that trigger in an LV? Or is it a different
it's
machine?
completely different configuration. Okay. So the way that the trigger's held in, the activation points, different, because the micro switch is now up here on a circuit board inside here.
Oh, really?
As opposed to obviously on an LV, the micro switch is down here. So the activation for on the trigger is up here.
See, I haven't taken one of those apart yet, so.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
like the new ejection from the
the
for the
batteries.
batteries. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah. That's
nice in
pretty
there.
cool. Yeah, that's something we wanted to do because we had a on the CS1 the batteries went in from the front and the back.
Hmm.
What we had is particularly on people spinning on the start gate is they grab hold of the and as they spin they'd actually pull on the foregrip to bring the gun down.
Tweaks the battery
And
out.
as they pull on the foregrip, the rubber was gripping the batteries and dislodging the battery and actually switching the gun off. So that's now all encased. So the batteries
Yeah,
are, like you say, go in there like a magazine cartridge in the bottom.
yeah. It's a cool little feature.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised to be perfectly honest that some of the players haven't taken the foregrip off and just wrapped some tape around here and just been playing, ag style.
Yeah, right. I mean, because a lot of people do that to even the LVs and the older
I know,
Geos.
yeah, yeah,
They tear
yeah.
those
Take the
apart.
rubber off and put a bit of hockey tape around there.
There is one thing that I would like to see incorporated into the LV series that the CS series has is a little spot for extra ball
Oh,
detents.
detents.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we can do that. That's no problem.
And that's what I thought. I was like, this could be a nice little feature because I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
obviously you need to still take it apart with tools. It's not as
yeah.
tool
It's not
free
not
as the
toolless.
CS
Yeah,
series. But I
yeah,
mean, and me personally, I keep a little parts bag and everything in my bag.
yeah.
But some people obviously don't do that. But
Not everybody does.
I think I think a cool part would be definitely putting those detents in there.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good idea. Yes.
Are there any new products that you can talk about at the moment, or is the CS2 kind of the new thing you guys have
Um,
out there to talk about?
yeah. Obviously, the CS2 is our new high end.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing really that's in the works in our high end. We're actually the mechanical stuff is almost taken over a bit for us.
Yeah.
And like I was just saying, like this EMEC, um, this is like a new interest for us. And it's
Yeah.
actually quite nice to go and actually do something different for a change.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose you can expect to see a bit more stuff based around this kind of thing from us in the future.
Yeah.
And I think the feedback that we've got from this it's been so refreshing. The fields that have been using it, it's been said a lot of times, but a lot of the fields coming back saying this is a game changer. This is a product that fields have been waiting for years.
Yeah.
It's going to change the experience for new players coming into the sport. And that's actually really exciting because I think it's great having all this kind of stuff, but without new players coming into the sport, this stuff's there's going to be no need for this at some point.
Right.
So putting all the experience we've had from years of building really high end stuff, right at the pinnacle of the sport, and trying to bring that down to entry level. And we've slowly been working down. We had the Ego, and then we'd have like the E-Tech,
Yeah.
and then we had the Ether, and now we've got Ether 2, we've got the G-Tech. So we're covering a broad spectrum, but we've never done something right down at the entry level.
Yeah.
And the feedback from the fields has been, this is something that we've been waiting for years. It's, because it's got a gamma core in there, it's really efficient. So the players, when they're out there, they're not running out of paint. It'll shoot the crappiest field paint that we get because it's got a gamma core in it.
Yeah.
So this will shoot paint that you'd shoot NXL
Right.
because it's got a gamma core system in it. Super slow, gentle bolt acceleration, and low operating pressure.
Yeah.
It's rugged. You can jet wash it and throw it in a tub, and then use it a weekend after. It'll work when it's like 20 Fahrenheit or 140 Fahrenheit. It doesn't make any difference because it's the gamma core, and it's what we've proved and tested over years in the G-Tech.
It's going to give a Tipman 98 Custom a run for its money, pretty much.
Exactly, and it looks good. It feels good. It's light. The kids love it because it feels nice. It's got slim grips, and So that's actually that's a bit more exciting for me at the
Yeah.
moment, trying to do something completely different, and out of my comfort zone, if you like. That's it. It's way exciting. We've got a load of cool stuff that's going to be coming in for that kind of range, I think.
Yeah, oh, and it needs to be pretty much built as a tank. I mean, because it needs to
Yeah, yeah,
with hand your it needs to be able to stand up to the kids
yeah,
throwing them down in the dirt and this and that, but still be gentle enough to be able to shoot paint. Because I mean, even though
exactly.
they don't care how straight the ball shoots, you
Yeah,
at least want to be able to shoot,
yeah. The
either
bullets they
shit
come out the
paint
end.
or good paint.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's got to come out of the gun. So yeah, so that's really exciting, and as a whole company, we're actually very excited about that project.
Yeah,
And that really has all come about from the resurgence of the mechanical scene,
yeah,
just from last year, just from like the Iron Classic last year,
mm-hmm.
and us going, well, me saying, oh, we've got the G-Tech, and I reckon I can make this a really good mechanical gun. And
Yeah.
then making the G-Mech slider frame. And I'm actually going, well, that's exactly the same bolt system that we have in the Ether 2.
Yeah.
There's no reason why that can't be a really good mechanical gun. And we've been asked for years to make a field gun, and it's just like, oh, we can't do it. It's just like, and then all of a sudden we've got, Ether 2, which has got polymer construction, which means that it can be made at a very reasonable cost, especially when you get to high volumes.
Yeah.
We talk about field guns, you're talking about selling lots of units, then it makes it really economically viable to do something like that.
Exactly.
And then, okay, so you've got to make a really simple barrel. It's just like a 10-inch one-piece barrel
Mm-hmm.
with minimal machining, but that's just to keep the price down. But then you don't need a two-piece, multi-board barrel for a field rental gun, do you? So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and then you do things like you take the pops off. It hasn't got an on-off anymore. It's just a screw in ASA, just old-fashioned thing.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So, and
It's
then
just
you've
simple.
got a great, yeah, super simple and reliable, and that's what fields want. They don't want to be spending hours maintaining this stuff. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I know it's probably not the kind of thing you want to talk about on your podcast,
absolutely.
but
No.
I think it is, and the more I've got into, the more I've been working on it, the more it's become clear that it's important for the sport that people who go and play on a field for the first time, that they have a good experience.
Absolutely.
I watched one of the things that came across was, in my bit of research I was doing. I was just skimming through YouTube like you do, and there's one of these YouTubers who's got like 10 gazillion subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got My First Paintball Experience as one of his videos, the English guy, and he's gone with his brother for his younger brother's birthday party, and he's paid for an upgrade gun, and this thing's got like 10 million views from his subscribers. And he goes out and starts playing, and his gun breaks within 30 seconds of starting, and then he spends like 5 minutes like trying to get the gun to work and calling for a ref.
Geez.
It's like, this doesn't look good.
No.
It's and that's like, okay, we need to do something about this. This is the experience people are getting, and this is the experience that these YouTubers and people are portraying to people. It's like, why would I go and spend money doing that?
Yeah.
And it's just it's not good for the sport, and then it doesn't benefit you, it doesn't benefit me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to be able to do something that hopefully has a positive impact at the lower end and getting new people into the sport, and that's
Yeah.
what we need.
Yeah, and I think from that field marker to the GMEC is a great platform to switch over to maybe get a little bit more
Yeah.
serious. And I think the GMEC is a great platform and stepping stone to the higher end markers.
Yeah, well, obviously that helps. If it's like anything else, if you have a good experience with a particular brand, then you're more likely to stay with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always about, obviously, our job is to retain our customers. Otherwise, we won't have a job.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always about it should be the full experience. So first of all, you pick a gun up, you get a new gun. Not many people like you take it apart the first thing they do. Most people just pick it up and screw a tank on it and load it and expect it to work. So the first thing is it's got to work when they take it out of a box, and then it's got to work pretty much in any condition, and it's got to work no matter what they do to it,
Mm-hmm.
and how they abuse it or neglect it, because a lot of people don't look after their equipment.
Yeah.
And then if you can do that, and then if something does go wrong, then you support it, And it's stupid old. Well, it's not stupid old. That is, treat somebody as you'd expect to be treated yourself.
Yeah.
Biblical
Common sense.
Common sense. So if I've got something and it's broken, I'd expect somebody to look after it for me. I'd expect somebody to fix it, or at least show some interest in looking after me as a customer. And that's how I try and approach everything. So that's why you see me on the forums, you see me on Facebook, you see me doing these kinds of things, because I think it's important that people know that we care. All of us here, all the guys here, you've known us for a long time.
Yeah.
That we really care about the players, and that they're having fun at the end of the day. That they're just playing. People are going out and playing paintball. If they're doing it with our kit, then that's fantastic. If they're just going out and using somebody else's kit, I don't care, as long as they're having fun.
Yeah.
I've got no beef to grind against anybody in the industry. And if the sport grows, it benefits us all. But at the end of the day, I just want people to go and have fun. And if they use our equipment, if they have a problem with it, I want to be able to come to, if they have to, they can come to me and say, "Hey, Jack, I bought this, and I've got this problem with it." And then no problem. If I can't fix it, I probably won't be able to, directly send something to you, but I can put you in touch with X, Y, and Z, and Aaron or Jerry in America will look after you. And well, there you go. There's their email address. There's their telephone number. You phone them, and they'll sort you out.
Yeah.
And I think it's just being able to communicate with your customers at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head with. I mean, you guys are players yourselves. I mean, you came from that, and you know how much fun it is and what it takes, and how frustrating it is when equipment doesn't work. And you guys,
exactly.
It's not like you guys are some outside company that just doesn't know anything about it, and then use our product and just do this. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. There's great customer service. There's marketing.
Yeah.
There's so much care that goes into a great product, and you guys have just encompassed that whole thing. And I think that's one of the biggest things. Besides that, your guys' products are amazing. The other thing is great customer service, and I think something like that goes way above and beyond what a lot of people think. And I mean, seeing a green shirt in the pits at every single one of our matches, and seeing you there as well in the background answering questions and doing anything, I think is one major reason why you guys who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And it's easy to say. It's easy for me to sit here and design stuff on my computer and say, "Go and make that,"
which is fun.
But that's fun, and it's great. And I've been doing it for 20 odd years, and still really enjoy it. And I don't want any other job. But it's all those techs that are out there that do 14, 15-hour days in a paintball field somewhere, or at a scenario event in Oklahoma or wherever, and it's those guys that are really the heart of the company. They're the ones that keep the customers coming back to us more than anything else, because like you say, having that green shirt there, it means a lot. Even if you do a 48-hour scenario event and you'll walk past that guy 20 times over the weekend, and you may give him a wave and say hi, but you haven't actually given him your gun to fix because it's worked great all weekend. But that if anything goes wrong, he's there for you.
Great insurance.
It's a nice thing to know, and it gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling to know that those guys put in those hours doing that for us, and that's a big part of our brand, and a big part of our brand loyalty comes from having that support.
Yeah, make sure you keep them in green shirts too. It makes it easy to find.
I know.
They're super easy to
clever,
find. Even though I need them very rarely, but they are super easy to find, and everybody that I've dealt with, even at that level, that technician level, has been everything helpful. Yeah. Well, Jack, I have to go to the 9 to 5, unfortunately, but I appreciate it. I'm surprised Leds or Jacko didn't swing into the frame or anything like that.
I know.
I was waiting for it, but
Leds normally sticks his head in the door when I'm doing something like this, just to throw me off cue. Well, no, he must be busy doing something else.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you ever need a guinea pig for anything, obviously shipping is not cheap, but if you ever need a guinea pig or anything, any kind of input, I am more than happy to help out. You guys have helped me out through the years, and I've enjoyed every single.
Problem. It's been great.
The relationship has been amazing, and I was very fortunate to be able to. Every pro team I've been on, I think. Every single pro team I've been on has been a Planet team, and I think I think it's something. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been great. So thank you so much for sitting down, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, catch you again soon.
All right, man. See ya.
Cheers, mate.
My dog enjoyed the podcast. He's rolling around over here on the ground. Thank you so much, Jack Wood. Had a great time. I loved hearing the story. It was cool how Planet Eclipse and himself kind of just became this thing. How he was young and this. It's great. It was a great story, man. I love hearing stuff like that from guys who've been in the industry for as long as he has, and it's great to hear. So thank you, Jack. Also, a big thank you to our sponsors. Carbon Paintball. If you want to see any of the SC gear or the new CC line, make sure you head to carbonpaintball.com, and if you type in the promo code capital TPOP at checkout, you will get 10% off your entire order. So thank you to Carbon Paintball. We are also brought to you by Charm City Paintball, who Mike over there, Mike Thompson, he is a headgear guru. He has been making headbands and head wraps for a very long time now, and I'm really trying to help him get out there, because it's like the quality is like the old Sandana stuff and the old headbands of back then. There's no sublimation, there's no nothing like that. It's all hand sewn, high quality, durable headbands, which I love. So thank you to Charm City Paintball. Also brought to you by CK Fight Life. And if you guys need any information on CK Fight Life, you can go ahead and go to their Facebook, ckfightlife.com, or you can call Tony 951-219-5045, and you can ask him all kinds of questions about paintball, about the laser engraving for your marker, or about jiu-jitsu, and they can help you out. Like I said, give Tony a call. Tell him Carl from the Playing On podcast sent ya. And big thank you also to Planet Eclipse for supporting not only this podcast, but myself and all the teams that I have played for my entire pro career. Yeah, I've shot Planet for forever. So thank you, Planet, so much. Thank you not only for the support, but also for coming out with just amazing markers year after year. Very much appreciated. Thank you to our sponsors, and also, as all of you know, I love to thank you guys for listening, because if it wasn't for the listeners out there, then there would be nobody to share these stories with. So I thank you guys for listening, and remember, please do not text and drive. Make sure you keep your eyes on the road. We are the reason why the roads are dangerous, and I want everybody to go home in one piece, especially, not every paintball field is, right down the street from everybody. I know I have at least a 2.5 hour drive if I want to play at a paintball field with a tournament field, so I know it's even longer for some people, but I gotta go 4 hours for Chicago for practices. But I mean, the point is, please, the podcast platform is great because it doesn't take your eyes, it doesn't avert your eyes away from the road, and we just, I need really everybody to really focus on this. It's very, very important. I love all you guys. I want everybody to be safe, and please don't text and drive. Get home safe. Safe travels, everybody, and we will see you here again soon on the Playing Out podcast. Peace.